managing and analyzing focus groups and interviews with QDA Miner 6. Our presenter today is Dr. Elif Kuş Saillard. She was an associate professor of sociology at Ankara University. She's the founder of NAM. The website is www.namqda.com. She's written 3 books. She has more than 18 years of experience and in following the latest trends in qualitative data analysis. She was a co-organizer of the International CAQDAS conference in Istanbul in 2011, the co-organizer and moderator at the Digitalization of HR and Digital Mindset Transformation Conference in Bilgi University in 2016. For the last 4 or 5 years, Elif, or 3 or 4 years, Elif has lived in France, and she offers online training on QDA products, including QDA Miner. You can find her contact information and a longer bio on her different publications on the training section of the Provalis Research website. That's www.provalisresearch.com. And so without further ado, I will pass the presentation over to Elif.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Today, I will try to show how we manage our data, our focus group data especially, and if needed, interview data, and also how we move on in qualitative analysis with QDA Miner 6, of course. So the data I will use today, in fact, it will be in Turkish, but I don't. I will just talk about what is it about, and I don't think it will create a problem for us because we will see the steps together. So we have one focus group data today to deal with, and we have 14 qualitative interview data. And in fact, this sample data that I'm using today, these data were obtained as a lecture assignment for students of Sociology Department of Istanbul University in 2015. And the subject of the research was Gezi Park protests. This protest was it took place in 2013 between May and August, and it was quite important, which really had significant impact on the political history of Turkey, we can say. And the students were asked to make interview with students like themselves, university students. But we asked them to find not only the supporters, also the opponents who are not happy with these events or who have some negative thoughts about this event. And then, in fact, we were only dividing into 2 groups, but later on, while analyzing the data, it became clear there is another group, and which we can call skeptics, which are quite critical. They are not so negative. They have some positive thoughts, but then after putting some arguments together, they jump to the negative side. So it was like this. And what is Gezi Park? It was why this event happened. Just very, very, very shortly. It's a green area inside at the center of the city center of Istanbul, and this green area, there was a plan to change this area and to transform it into a kind of a shopping mall. So the protest started against this. In fact, all what happened was against this. It was a quite long, I mean, from May to August, we can say it was a special event. So anyway, this is the data we will deal with. So what I want to do, in fact, together because I wanted to start from together, all the steps together, experience. So I will jump to the software now and to QDA Miner, and let's create the project. Even the project can be created together, so new. Just to show it, in fact, because I'm not sure if everybody is familiar, and so that's why it was my idea. So because I already have a list of documents ready, the data on my computer, I select this option, create a project from a list of documents, and then I find, I search on my computer and I find my data files. I select them, I say add, and I say create. These options are just okay, and I have to give a name. So, for example, I can say just in fact, as for the focus group data, I want to say that really, if it is done in an ideal way, in a correct way, it really gives very rich data. Just one focus group can give I can say 8,000 words, for example. So imagine if you have 4 focus groups. So quite, if we talk about the quantity, it's quite high number of thousands of words we are talking about. So that's why QDA Miner is a good tool to use to deal with this kind of data. Because for a qualitative researcher, of course, meaning we are searching for the meaning unit, and we have to read. The human must read. Researchers must do the job. But if we use the software like QDA Miner, of course, there are many benefits. So we will experience and we will see it today. So it is the same for the qualitative interviews also. I don't know about your experiences, but really it became so popular that in the last years that I heard projects like big projects like 500 deep interview were made. For example, I mean 500 deep interview. I mean it means that lasting 2 hours, only one interview. So it's a huge data. How one-to-one open, read all of it and make coding. It's really not. It can take months. So that's why we are with QDA Miner today. So this is the data, and one focus group, as I said, and the 14. There are 14 interviews. They are really quite semi-structured, but it's but here I just wanted to show how I opened this, but I already prepared one thing, and I will jump later to that one, another project which is a little bit, the codings are ready here. As for the focus group data, what I can say, we said I will show the managing. What does it mean managing? What kind of managing? In fact, here the numbers I wrote like this. It's like P1 participant 1, P2 participant 2, P3 participant 3, and here normally in a focus group. In general, we don't need to make comparisons among participants, but sometimes we might need it for many reasons. We might want to make comparison. Of course, if the group combination is allowing this. I mean, if it is a group mix of, there can be a gender mix, there can be an age mix in an ideal focus group. of course, the most homogeneous is the best. But sometimes, depending on the subject, depending on the data we want to create, it might happen. It might be the case. So, in this case, if it is the case, here what we see that we have one focus group file and all the participants talking there we see, but in one file. And here one file is like, we can say that is like one case. I mean, it's also in the case section, in fact, we see this like as a one case. So what we need to do is to separate these cases to the speakers, the participants. We need to separate, split. It is in the QDA Miner terminology, the splitting cases. If you want to search inside the manual, you can write the splitting cases. So there, I can create, by doing that, by splitting cases, I can create different, if here, let's see here, how many participants. This is it, as we can see, this is a focus group, which has 6 participants. So 6 different speakers, we can say, and not included the moderator, only those who are participants. So 6, this means that I want to see here in the case section, I want to see 6 different cases. Why I want to see it? Because I want to later on, after I came to a point, after I move forward with my codings, I might want to see the differences among them. So how I create it, okay, first let's create a code here, and let's call it, for example, participants, but it must be under a category, sorry. Here I will write participants, and here I will say, for example, P1, for example, and then I can continue P2. These, if I have 6 participants, it means that I have to create 6 like this. And what I will do, I don't want to finish everything here because I will open and show from another one that I already completed the process. If I created the 6 codes here, okay, then what I will do is that I will find participant 1, for example, and I can start here from here, for example. I can code what this participant 1 said to the code P1, participant 1, and I can continue. So if I go through this document, I don't see anymore, but it might be, normally it's the case that we will see it. So later on, we can see a P2 saying something. The first person, P1 is saying something here, then I will do the same. I will select and code to P1. So I will separate all the text belonging to the participants, I mean, all their speech, as creating codes for them, by creating codes for them. So after, so I want to open the other one to show, yeah. So when I finish this coding, to make splitting, I have to go to the project menu, and there I have to go to export and coded segments. And there are options. So from the codes, which coded segments I want to export is, in fact, I will select these focus group cases and the participants in the other one. It is the name we gave, you know, it's not so important. And here, case splitting, what we want, if we select every coded segment, it will create a new case for every coded segment, which I don't want now. Why? Because some participants might have talked more than one time. So it means that there are several different segments coded in one participant. So if each will be a different case, so it will just create cases that are not existing. So what I have to do is merge coded segments here. So I say create. I give a name. So we can go and see how it looks. We can change and we can open that. It was this one. So what happened here, you see case 1, case 2, case 3, 6. Based on these codes, now we have different cases. And if I click case 1, you see the content here. It was 2 different segments coded in, because 2 different time in that focus group that this participant talked. So it is all the talk belonging to this participant, in fact. So that's why I selected not merge the coded segments to have a 6 case here. Otherwise, for each coded segment, I would see 7 cases here, for example, because 1 more here. All the others, they have only 1. Yeah. So this is the splitting. It's quite easy, in fact. We just create code for the cases, for the speakers, and then we go back to project menu and we say export coded segments, and there we have the option of case splitting. So it's quite simple. And let's also go back to the other project and to see what we can do with the interviews. In fact, what we can do with the interviews is that sometimes we might only want to focus on just one question. As you can see, it's quite long, and maybe there are many parts that I don't want. In fact, in many research, we are really, when we do analysis, in fact, we are doing this. We are not focusing all the data we created. So if it is qualitative data, it's most of the time like that. So what we do here, for example, if I only want to focus on one question and the answer to that question, I can here, but managing, you know, what kind of managing data, what kind of reorganization of data I can do is that I can code the answers to this question, and it could be the name of the question here. I can just add it and I can write the name of the question, and in fact I could code all the answers to the one question to one code, but to do two things at the same time, I did like this. I create, because I know the question here is, first of all, I have to say, what are your thoughts about Gezi events, Gezi protests? So when I am coding the responses, at the same time, I wanted to just separate them, create different subcodes, showing that some answers are negatives or some are positive, and some answers are those for skeptical. So I only, from all the interviews, in fact, here I did the same thing. For example, this one gave a positive response, so it was coded here. We can check from here also, retrieve segments. So all we see here is the positive from, the answers, which we can say positive. And so after I did this, and also I have this focus group separation. Now, if I repeat the same thing as I did for the splitting of cases, let's do it. I go to project and I go to export. I go to coded segments, and here merge coded segments. And codes, I select this. I'm not selecting this one because I already coded the answers of the focus groups also to here. In fact, they are there. That's why this time I'm not selecting it. And I say create. I can give a name to the new project, and I can open that one to see what happened. So let's open this. Yeah. Here I have 17 cases. It should be 20. I made this maybe a kind of mistake. I don't know why. What was my mistake? But I can. Normally it has to look like this. Yeah, 20 case. I have 20 cases. Yeah, I also, in fact, I take these ones. So what I did, I started with 14 interviews, and I had one focus group, and I reorganized this data, and I created cases from one focus group which had 6 participants. So 6 cases coming from there, and the rest coming from the interviews. But I also, why I did reorganizing for the interviews, because I wanted to use only a part of the data and only answer to the one question. So here we see, when I click on the cases, here we see this looks long, but it's in fact one response. We only see the response of to one question. So I have a project, a new project, in a reorganized way that I wanted. And so, okay, I reorganize my data. What will I do next? First of all, as I said before, normally we have to read one by one, sentence by sentence, and we have to create the coding from here. It's like this, and if we have a code here, we use but before doing this, we will do this, of course. It's unavoidable. If it's a qualitative analysis, we have to do this. But before doing this, let's check what QDA Miner gives us, how it might help to speed up this process. So we can go to and check this text retrievals. But before that, I want to go to the analyze here. Why? Because I know that in QDA Miner 6, this function is here, the word frequencies. So the first thing that I can check is the word frequency for all the data that I have now in this project. So I went, I clicked from the analyze menu. I came here. So I see the frequency list. This is the list, and this is the cloud version. If I go to the list here, I see the options. Even in here, in fact, I have the options. I can change the options. I can import a Turkish stop word list, but here I didn't do this. There is no stop word list. I mean, I'm not using in this one. If I want, I can use. And there we look at the words. We will look at Gezi as is normal, that it's quite much here. There might be some. This is hükümet. This is the government, for example. This is police, and there might be some words that I'm interested. It might be interesting to see why it is here, why they use this quite much, for example. And then what is good here? It's an interactive interface. I mean, I can right-click on the word and I can say retrieve the sentences or paragraphs to me. So here I can see what they said about hükümet. I mean, hükümet is a word, is a government, for example. So what I did, I created here a code. You can see I can select another word, which I didn't. For example, for police, I right-click, I say retrieve sentences. It brings all the sentences which has this word inside. And what I can do, I can create a code, define a new code from here, for example, under which category. I created already a category called, to remind myself that these are the keywords. That's I shortly wrote keywords. So the code name, I can write police here. And then it appeared in the list, and all what I have to do now, I can decide which ones I want, or I can just click all the hits, code all the hits to this one. And say, are you sure? I'd say yes. So we can check what happened. We go to this code, we right click on it. Oops, what I have to close this one before. So I right click on it, retrieve segments. So we have it as a code. So I can go further here. I can read one by one here. And if I want to write a comment, I can write. Or if I want to save some excerpts to be saved in the report manager, I can click here. And so this is a little bit different way of creating codes, in fact. First, I start with the statistical features, in fact, the text statistics, and then I decide which one has and might be meaningful for me, which might bring me as fast as to the semantic word. I mean, to the meaning that I am searching. So I can, as a researcher, I can decide, and I can, what is good is that really I can just right click, you know, and then I can retrieve those segments and I can quickly create my codes. What else? Is it only this? You know, it's yeah, this, and not only this, of course. There are some unique functions that QDA Miner is very helpful. For example, I can go back to the retrieve, and there are several options. Text retrieval I might write myself which words I want to search for. Or what is nice here, that I'm looking for the but it gives to me automatically, you know. So for example, the cluster extraction. So here I can say, yeah, sentences, upper Turkish, smallest cluster size 3, and okay. And it says, for example, 35 items in 9 clusters. I can click on it. So here, in fact, what I have is the repeated sentences. And here, when I'm reading this, and in this repeating sentence, but in fact, it's based on it's not all the sentences are the same, in fact, based on some words appearing together. But it has this similarity score here, and so that's very nice. You know, I can really go through deeper. I mean, I can be quite close to the semantic field. I can, in the meaning that I'm searching for. For example, this block, if I think it's very good, I like all of them, I want to code, I can code to a code which is already existing, or by just dragging and dropping, or I can create a new code, of course. So it can be under a new category also. We can say qualitative codes. I mean, it's just, oops, yeah. And here I can say, in fact, I use what I see here as a code name. So I can also code. So as you can see, it's a block. It's coming from maybe from one case or different case. It might be, but different sentences. It's a quite quick way of coding. And here, really, this way of, I mean, this cluster extraction feature is really gives more meaningful sentences. So I can here, for example, I can create a new one, and like this, and it even appeared itself, the code name. Very nice. So I just click, so you see it's here. So quite easy and faster way to make coding. And if I close this, I have to say before. I have to click to apply. I say yes. Okay. So what we did here, we have some codes, and yeah, we used 2 statistical feature, we can say, of QDA Miner, word frequencies and cluster extraction, and we created them quite fast by using them. And then let's assume that we finish coding, or at this point we want to make some comparison. We want to compare these different groups these opponents, supporters, you know, in fact, that's why I coded as variable. It's negative, skeptical, positive, it's written here. How these codings are different, might occur differently according to these variables, we can say, according to these characteristics, whatever we call, you know. So I go to analyze, and I can see ask coding by variables, and I can select, for example, the keywords, for example, and here tabulate with. Here I see the variables, and this is called the positive, negative, all this. So I select that, and I have a table here. What this table shows the code frequency. I can change it. I can ask for the word count. You know, the code frequency means the segmented, the coded segments inside it. And what I see is the row percent or column percent. I can change it. Yeah, if I say row percent, it means, for example, those who use the word police, the positive ones, those who are supporting this event, in fact, they didn't use this word so much, and others used more. So this looks interesting. So I might. But what is good with QDA Miner is that really wherever you are, all the findings appearing on the screen, all the tables, all the visuals, they are interactive. So you can always click on it and go deep to see why it is like this. Can I go back and check it? So let's go back. I said retrieve those segments, and here I can. Doesn't, okay. Yeah, I can check more in detail, and then I can create a hypothesis, or I might test the hypothesis why this word the others didn't use so much, and why the other groups are used more than the positive ones. And of course, if you want it, I mean, it might give some results, but it's based on always, of course, we have some research questions. Based on that, we are searching things, in fact. So here we have this table, but not only that, I want to show, I mean, when you make, even if it is a qualitative coding, if you have data which is really rich, meaning that rich means here, in fact, it means the volume. It means not only the how contextual it is, how detailed it is. Yes, of course, it means that, but also it has a quantitative meaning. It means the volume. It means how many words. You know, how it has this side. So when you do, when you have many quite volume, I mean, qualitative data, we call it, sometimes we call it in this digital age, we call it small data. It is called small data, but in fact, it can be quite huge. If you are doing qualitative analysis, if you have to go through the meaning to catch the right meaning. So even if you use a software, you are quite busy. It takes time and everything. So what is good with QDA Miner, even if you perform first of all, until now, what we saw, we saw that it offers some features really which can make the process quite fast to reach to the meaning, to reach to the semantic field. And it's offering more than, I mean, yes, it's offering the word frequency list, but as we saw in the cluster extraction, it offers much more than that. And what else? And after we finish the coding, if we want to make comparisons based on some characteristics of the participants or some variables, whatever we call, we have this table. And not only this table, I try to come here. We can see this table as a quotation table, for example. So it will turn into a real qualitative table where I can add comments, many different type of comments options I have. And I can write my comments here, for example, and it appears here. So this qualitative table can be saved to the report. It can be export from in Excel form or in many other forms. So this is perfect. And what else? What is nice, very, very nice, that and unique for, I mean, I can say, for example, one of them is this deviation table. Here, what I see which codes are the word most and least here is showing that is most, we can call characteristic for this group. And the code that I have, arch, you know, it means 3, in fact, 3. And Gezi Park protest was about losing the green space, in fact. So 3 has it's very important. So that's why I created this code. So I see here for the negative group, they talk the code 3 is more relevant, more characteristic of this group, and for the positive, the supporters of this event is the least characteristic, and this is very special finding, for example, because this event was really about keeping the green space against losing it. And all those supporters, even though this is the case, the supporter group, they are not using the environmental, you know, green or like tree. They are not, because it was very much used cutting trees. But the positive groups, they didn't use so much, apparently. I mean, at least based on this table, really we can say it's not characteristic for this group, but for the negative group, it's interesting. And even here, if I am doubting and if I'm wondering if it is a surprising finding for me, I can click on it, I can chart, and there are options. I can ask code retrieval. So I can go back and check again why it is like this. And here you see everywhere, in fact, we have this workload option. Here, when I have this workload option, it means only for this result, only for this code, the coded content, I will see the word frequency for this code's content. So I can see this, but you know, the construction is all the other words together used with. So in fact, this is also, this can, if I want to create subcodes, I can use this function also to make the process a little bit faster. Also, I can benefit from it for the subcode creation. So I want to go back to here. What else we have? We have correspondence plot also, meaning that here we can see the groups, different groups, and the codes. Again, I mean, like in deviation table, in fact. And if they are more far away from the center, as this one, they are more, yeah, we have to be careful when we are interpreting, when we see in this two-dimensional map. But for me, always it says something, and it's like a kind of double check if I open the deviation table, so that I can be sure when I make the interpretation from that correspondence table. But all these options are here, and what more, the heat map, for example. We have the heat map, and I can, whatever, if I like, but the finding, the visual way, the visual presentation, or the finding, I can save to the report. So that meaning that in somewhere here, in fact, I am creating a report. The QDA Miner is saving the items, the parts, the visuals, or the data, or just an accept, or just a comment, whatever I want to use in my report. I'm always keeping in mind and clicking here so that they are saved in a separate place. So that's also good. And here I see, in a different kind, different groups, what they used and all this. So I can see the group diagram, for example. The positive ones had in the similarity index, the negative and skeptical ones, they had a similar discourse, we can say, more similar discourse than the positive ones. We can see all this. We can say this also I want, or for example, when I wanted the quotation table, I can also the whole table I can ask to save it there to the report. So let's see the report. Where is it? Where will I find? And it is in fact, there are many things to show, yeah. Project, it is report manager, yeah. I open the report manager. And here in the report manager, as you can see, I can see all the items. I mean, I say items, but all what I have selected to keep in the report, to be shown in the report, they are here. If I have notes, they are here. I can start writing my report already here inside QDA Miner. So I have this, I have the group dendrogram, for example, and whatever I have. So I can, if I want to export this, I go to the export, HTML, MS Word, rich text, I select, and I can select also, do I want all of them, or is it enough only without this, or whatever, we can decide and select. So as you can see, we have everything here. Those we wanted to see in the report. I find this quite helpful, because really when we are working in QDA Miner, I mean, when we are doing the analysis, when you are with the software, we do coding, we write comments and everything. But after a while, we have a list of codes here. We have a list of comments, and we have many things. And then when it comes to the report writing, it creates another obstacle. But if you keep in your mind the report, if you keep your report always in your mind, and the most important items of what you want to see in the report, you can, each time you are performing a coding or whatever inside QDA Miner, you can save it to the report manager, and also it can show the process also, that things might change, things might evolve, and when you save it, you can see the evolution also. It's a kind of memory also. So yeah, basically I'm finished, but
okay,
yeah.
that's good, Elif. You don't have to go you don't have to do any more. That's good. You got to the end. You got to your report. Thank you very much. Let's see now. If you would like to ask a question to Elif, we don't have a lot of time left, but well, we got close to 10 minutes. If you would like to ask a question, please use the chat feature in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and we'll see what questions we have. So I have one here. Elif, which of the new features in version 6 do you think are most useful for analyzing interview and focus group transcripts, and why?
Yeah. As I showed here, for example, what I have started with was the word frequency, for example. This is a new feature. I mean, before, when I was using QDA Miner, I was benefiting this feature, but it was inside the WordStat. So I had to open WordStat. But now I can stay inside QDA Miner, and I have this. And this is one of the features that I find good to have. And the other that is here, here we have this grid mode. This grid mode is a nice view, different way of view. Especially, I mean, normally if it is a very long interview, it might not be so useful maybe, but here in our case here, we created a project, including cases, but with the answer to only one question. So that's why when I change the view to the grid view mode, it shows the case numbers. I have this, and I can see all the codes coded here, and below I can see the original the source and how it is in the original. So new. I mean, we didn't have this view before. So I find this also quite useful because, as I said, I can see the cases, the table together, and the codes to the side, and I can do many things, of course, here. I can write the comment, I can save the comment, and I can move on in this view also. These are the two, I think, and the deviation table, yeah. When I made this analyze, when I asked for coding by variables, when I had the table there, what was it? No, yeah, I can say this code. Yeah, when I have the table, here I clicked on deviation table, for example. This is also a new feature, which I really always, I benefit a lot from this. When
Okay.
finish the
continue.
coding.
Continue.
When we finish the coding, really, or when we really evolved in the coding process, after a while, we want to see, we want to compare, if you want to compare the cases, then really this is helping very much.
Okay. Yeah. Can you also use WordStat for focus groups and interviews? You said you have some experience with WordStat.
I used a lot. I used a lot. Why? Because I had to analyze 30 focus groups, for example, in a short time, quite short time, and 30 focus group, each lasting minimum 1 hour. So I had quite much data. I didn't want to make one by one. And what it offers, I mean, only just these functions, features in QDA Miner, they are also very useful. But we have some more, of course, in WordStat.
Okay, well, I'm not asking you to go through a whole explanation of WordStat. The question was just, can you also use WordStat to do this? The answer is yes, you've used it a fair amount. I think you answered it, but another question is, in doing your analysis of the comments about the demonstrations, was there something that you found in your analysis that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, it was the use of this was a kind of really environmentalist. This protest started to protect an environment, a green environment. So normally we expect to see the words tree should be used more among those who are supporting this event. Because in our daily lives, we were really, the word tree became so significant. We were using, trees, they are cutting the trees, just to use this word, to mention this was really showing something. If you are supporting or if you are not, of your opponent on this. But in this time, it was interesting to see, no, it's not like that. And to see this gives you, brings a new question into your mind as a researcher. Is this like this, and why? And then you read and you try to understand why they were silent about this, those who support Gezi events, why they were silent about these words, why they didn't use these words, and which words instead they used. And also, when you finish the qualitative coding, then you talk a bit more, of course. You show it more, the why it appearing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We're just about out of time. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you very much, Elif. A recording of this presentation will be on our website. And if you would like to get in contact with Elif for training, to ask her questions, potentially to participate in her
training.
Sorry, yes. All her contact information is available on the Provalis Research website in the training section, because she's one of our trainers. So thank you, everybody. Much appreciated, and have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.